Welcome to the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Steve Van Meter, but you know all that. And welcome to a Super Sunday. And our title this month is One Journey, Many Paths. And it is the month of love. February is traditionally, as we know, on the 14th, we celebrate love with a significant other or loving ourselves. But this week's title is A Clean Slate. So we are encouraged to move from talking about the divine to feeling it and experiencing it. And eventually we come to the consciousness of being the divine. Now, you might say, well, somebody that says that they are the divine may be full of ego, but it's not that we are saying that we're the only divine thing. We're saying that everything and everyone is the divine in form. And when we know that, we can experience it and become it and live from that place of divinity. We do this by experiencing mystical experiences. And truly, life itself is a mystical experience. And that transcends any one path or any one religion or any one spiritual tradition. We are all headed to the top of the mountain with countless paths. I would say that there are as many paths as there are people in the world to walk it. We are all part of one tree with many branches, each one of us part of that leaf, part of that tree. We are all one river with many streams, many ways, but we are all part of the infinite. Because we're not bound by any previous experience, we are freed by principle. We are each invited to surrender our experience and embody spirit directly. Have you had that experience of embodying spirit directly? Individually, we're doing that. And collectively, if you'd seen what's happening in the world, there is a huge shift in consciousness happening. Now, I know you may think that it's happening slowly, or sometimes we feel like we're going backwards, but we're always moving. We're always moving forward. Even when we take a step back, we are moving. Sometimes it takes a step back to take a bigger step forward. We are entering into a time of deconstruction, of rethinking and rebuilding our BS, our belief system, that is, where the all is ever present. And yet the ways in which we experience it is different for each one of us. Let's take a deeper look into this thing called evolutionary vision. We envision humanity awakening to its own spiritual magnificence as we discover the creative power of thought. A world where each and every person discovers their own personal power and the ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for all. And that's where we are. We're in the midst of that. That's why it can look kind of messy sometimes. How about this thing called timeless wisdom? Well, practicing the presence is practicing the awareness of the presence that created all that is. Anytime you're contemplating the power that created you, you are practicing the presence of the awareness. That's why practitioners are so powerful. We are dedicated to spending time practicing that awareness, being in the zone of spiritual enrichment. It is in the practicing of that presence, of that principle of oneness, of love and creation. To become aware of and experience the one infinite reality, we must become conscious of it. We must understand that something is going on behind the scenes. Beyond these formal methodologies is living in the enlightenment with our science of mind principles and making these principles evident in a way that we engage in the present moment, excuse me, thereby being congruent in thought, word, deed, and behavior. Self-awareness is the practice that illuminates our alignment with each of our science of mind principles. It is the practice of being conscious of one's own motivations, our internal dialogue, and our hidden beliefs. Like I said previously, I've spent lifetimes attempting to uncover my hidden beliefs, but they stay hidden for some odd reason. Maybe we're not supposed to know what our hidden beliefs are, but I think it's the process of wanting to discover what they are that leads us to new vistas, new plateaus. We need to take responsibility for our internal and our external choices. Self-awareness is the foundation for conscious choice. See, in every moment, each one of us is given a fork in the road. We each get to choose what we believe today. Are we part of the challenge? Or are we part of the solution? When we're thinking and pointing at what's not working, we're perpetuating what's not working. But when we can say, okay, I see it, but what's the answer? What's the solution? What does it look like all worked out? That invites the energy of healing, the energy of revealing the truth into every situation. Silence creates an inner spaciousness where we have the opportunity to become aware of our own consciousness, to experience the rise and fall of thoughts and feelings without attachment or judgment. It invites us to become comfortable within our own mind-body connection, to release any distractions so that our self-awareness has the space to grow. That's what we're after. That's what we're seeking. That place, that field of all opportunity. There is a field between right and wrong, and I will meet you there and we will dance. There are moments in life when we are afforded a clean slate. It's not always by our choosing. Sometimes it is. Sometimes we make that conscious decision to let go of something that no longer serves us. And other times it's thrust upon us through this thing called life and the experience that just naturally happens. When we're afforded a clean slate, we can start again. We can take a different perspective. I call it the 30,000-foot perspective. You know, when you're in the midst of your challenge and you're caught up in it, it's almost impossible to be able to think clearly. But when you can take a 30,000-foot perspective and look down or look at your situation like a thumbnail sketch, things change. Whether we welcome that clean slate or it is thrust upon us, it is always an opportunity for greater clarity, greater creativity, and new possibilities can emerge out of that space. Every beginning represents the end of something else. Every transition represents the beginning of something new. It may look like an ending, but within an ending, there is always a new beginning. While we may recognize beliefs, behaviors, and situations that no longer serve us, they are not necessarily easy to release. I think we've all had that situation where we were caught in an uncomfortable experience where we were hanging on to what doesn't work because it's what we knew. But once we can finally let go, we can embrace that new transition and that field of all opportunity. We can cultivate a clean slate at any moment in our lives. It's not always easy, but it's simple to do. It requires the willingness to embrace that moment, confront whatever pain or promise exists there, and practice the presence of the divine. Anytime in a situation, we can move our consciousness to what we believe the power is. Just contemplate what you believe God, Great Spirit, Christ consciousness is to you. It allows that divinity to begin attracting into your world exactly what you need to be, do, and have. Have you ever prayed for a do-over? I think we all have, like, selected something and then we got it and thought, this isn't exactly what I had in mind. We could all use a second chance, a clean slate. Only to have it happen and then find yourself confronted with a curious combination of exhilaration. There is an allure to the blank page, the empty canvas, the open road, the freshly tilled soil. It is the hope and possibly a little bit of fear inherent in life transitions like parenthood or divorce or a career change or moving. Losses and successes of all kinds hold that place of a new slate. Sometimes we intentionally seek it, and other times the blank slate is thrust upon us, not necessarily welcomed or wanted, but we have to walk through it. But always the clean slate offers opportunity as we tap the source of all creation and infinite possibility. In our Centers for Spiritual Living, our vision statement includes, we envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought. Love that. To awaken to that spiritual magnificence, we must begin by cultivating self-awareness and self-reflection. Let's consider establishing some sort of routine around that, of examining our beliefs and our behaviors to determine whether or not they still serve us. In other words, let's create a clean slate within our own minds. We may ask ourselves, where did this thought originate? Am I living in integrity with my values? Who would I be without this belief? As detrimental beliefs are removed from consciousness, there is a new clarity and a space created for new possibilities to emerge. That's what our teaching is all about. Every time we go into spiritual mind treatment, we are creating that new slate and speaking our word into what we choose to be, do, and have. The birth of anything new is sometimes preceded by pain or messiness and sometimes confusion. Before we can enjoy the newness of a home remodeling project or the order of a clean closet, we must first contend with the destruction and the disorder that can temporarily look and feel worse than how it started out. I used to be I still am a house painter. And whenever you're going to paint something, you have to take everything away. You have to sand down the rough edges, put a coat of primer up, and then put your paint down. Painting is 90% prep work, and so is conscious awareness. Emotions that may emerge as the clean slate is being cleaned can be difficult to experience and manage at times. But I urge you to stay with it. Don't look at a paint job while the paint's drying and comment that it's not the way you thought it was going to look. You have to finish the project. I've had clients come in when I was midway through and say, this isn't what I wanted. I say, the paint's still drying. Come back in a couple hours when it's dry, and I think you'll see it differently. So we need to stay with it. Emotions are our inner GPS, our inner God positioning system. It lets us know if our thoughts and our subsequent emotions are moving you further or closer to source energy. If you feel that uncomfortableness, it means that we're off the path. When we're comfortable, when we know that we're on the right track, there will be signs. So in conclusion, to live from a clean slate means to live from the space of clarity, that space of all possibility, that it encompasses the mind, body, and spirit. We're called to practice the presence regularly. What do you believe it is? Your very contemplation of what you believe the creative energy of the universe is that process. So we release thoughts of past or future and ground ourselves in this present moment, experiencing whatever understanding or gifts the moment has for us. There are countless ways to practice the presence. Core methods such as spiritual mind treatment, meditation, visioning, or mindfulness serve to silence our mind and create that clean slate. Let's give ourselves permission to indulge in that clean slate, in what feeds our souls, sacred service, nature, time in the silence, music that moves us, creative endeavors, just watching a good, funny movie, get your laughter going. Also, finally, we need to remember to honor our body, to get plenty of rest and relaxation, for it is our body temple that delivers the opportunity for us to have this clean slate. So now is the time to clean our slate and remember who we are. And so it is. Amen. Well, it's time for our prayer. So I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And let's remember who we are. So I invite you to bring to the forefront of your consciousness what you believe the energy is that created you. What is it? What do you call it? Great source, great spirit, Christ consciousness? there is a power. And I think that we can agree that this power of creation is everywhere present. It is the power that causes the leaves to shoot out its new buds, the tree to expand every year. It is that energy that allows us to breathe. It breathes our body, beats our heart, digests our food, all at the same time. It is that same energy that brings the healing and the revealing of truth into our lives at all times. I speak my word into that power, knowing that each one of us, being that divine point of love, of light, is that clean slate, that open field of all opportunity. And as we think ourselves into that, as we start to contemplate what we choose to be, do, and have, the universe gets very busy, rearranging itself to include those desires, those ideas, those new thoughts, and those new energetics. So we give great thanks for the healing right here and right now. For I know that as we concentrate on the resolution, energy flows where our attention goes, and we place our attention on the solution, on the love and the harmony of the universe. And as such, we attract the very harmony into every situation. So we give great thanks for that power that heals and reveals, that makes connections and all things clear. And we release this word. We let go, letting God be God in every situation, letting the energy of creation do its great work of creating. So we let go. We release this directly into that living, loving law of mind where we know it is already done as we affirm it together by saying, and so it is. Amen. Well, again, thank you for joining us this morning. It's time for our offertory. So I invite you to find your donate button or however you choose to give. Let's imagine that we are putting our gift in our hand and putting our hand on our heart. And let's recite our offertory ideas about sharing today, which says, my clean slate is filled with abundance that I share with love. Once again, my clean slate is filled with abundance that I share with love. And so it is. Well, let's give a prayer on our offertory this morning. I know that from the love of pure spiritual energy, these tithes and gifts have been collected. They are evidence of our faith, our belief, and our ability to manifest in this world of form. They do good work in this community and allow Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living to be that place where people can come in consciousness, virtually, and remember who they are. We are so grateful. We affirm this by saying, and so it is. Amen.